Hello everyone, my name is Noah and welcome to this Stitches video. We are out on my porch right now. We call this the catio. This is where the cats like to hang out. You will probably see one and or both of them. Today we're going to be starting the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan by Katryn Seeburger. I have the whole pattern here printed out. That's not something I usually do. I usually will print out maybe just what I need as I need it, but I thought for my planning, which I still have a little bit to do, it might be useful to have all of the information printed out with the yarn, and so I could tell y'all things as well and not be confused. But yes, this is what we're working on. So this is something I've been wanting to work on for quite a while now, probably since the beginning of this year. It was something that I was really looking forward to and kind of being like, once I finish this, I can get to it all the way through the baby blanket. It was kind of like, oh, I'm going to cast this on, I'm going to cast this on. But then when I finished the baby blanket in June, I started to be like, well, maybe I should wait. I don't know if I have enough yarn. I'm going to have top surgery in October, so I don't know what size I'm going to be, you know, that sort of thing. So I was just kind of collecting yarn in my life as I came across it. But I was recently talking to someone, a local yarn store owner, when I was in Philadelphia, and she said that I could measure like the part above like the tissue on my chest to get a good, decent, more or less idea of what my chest might be like after surgery. But also, this pattern is knit with about 30 inches ease, which is probably like 90 centimeters. The photograph sample, it says, has 34 inches ease, so I'll probably do something around that. I like the way it fits the model. And yeah, so if I have an incorrect measurement initially, it doesn't matter. It's going to be so big and it's meant to be oversized, so whether I'm off large or small, it won't matter. And this was something else that was pointed out to me by the yarn store owner. I can wear it when I'm in recovery from my surgery, when I'm recovering from my surgery, and it'll just be something nice and exciting to have, and it'll be like something that I can work up to. Like, it'll be like an anticipation type project. So that sounded like a good idea to me. I came home and I've been sorting through my yarn, trying to decide what I'm going to use, what I'm not going to use. The pattern calls for DK weight yarn or fingering weight yarn held double. It's anywhere from 600 to 900 grams, which would be 2,400 yards to 3,600 yards, or 2,200 meters to 3,300 meters. So it's a lot of yarn. Bust measurements are 50, 70, or 78 3/4. I'm guessing I'll probably go with the largest size, although I will need to measure myself to find out. That's something else we can do today. The gauge is 20 stitches by 34 rows. This is 10 by 10 centimeters, or 4 by 4 inches. And I don't know if you can hear that siren, but we're gonna wait till it's done to continue. So the construction of this sweater, I'll show you. And this is something that you can see on the Ravelry project pattern page, so I don't feel bad showing it to you. It is the schematics, so you can see that this sweater is knit in pieces, and then the sleeves and the button band and the ribbing are all knit. Well, it can be one. I'm gonna make it one color. We will see. So I wanted to know how much yarn the sleeves would use. It says here that the estimate per sleeve is anywhere from 80 to 100 grams. I don't know if it says anywhere for the ribbing. I don't think so. But yeah, the sleeves are anywhere from 80 to 100 grams or 120 grams. I think I have enough of the yarn I want to use for that. I will see if I can figure it out. I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, I thought I'd show you some of the yarn I'm considering. So the first yarn I want to show you is this. It is Strikkegarn Rauma 3TR. I don't know if that's like a 3-ply. Is it 3-ply yarn? Yes, so that's probably what the 3TR means. It's 100% Norwegian wool, and it is 105 meters or 50 grams per ball. And I have 5 of these, and as you can tell, it's pretty beat up. I've had it for a while. It's color 146, and it was $9 a skein. So the only thing with having had this for so long, I'm sure there's none of this colorway, or not colorway, this dye lot left. But I was thinking maybe this could be the sleeves. And like I said, I have 5 of these, so depending on what size sleeve I end up making, there's a chance there'd be enough. I will keep you updated on that, obviously, as the video goes on. Okay, so we've got this one. I'm going to put the darks at one end, I think, and the lights at the other. Kind of goes in the middle. So some of these I have a lot of colors, some of them not so much. Losing yarn. This is gonna be interesting. I'm just gonna put one of those there. All right, what did I lose? Gotta go get it. It rolled like to the other side. Okay, so we've got that gray blanket. Oh my gosh, I keep calling it a blanket. Not a blanket. It's gonna be a very, very scrappy. Yeah, I've got, I think, way more here than I need. But we'll figure this out. All right, so I'm thinking probably not this because it's such a small amount. I do kind of like the tying in of the blue with this, these two together. I also really like this, and one or both of these two. This one has some purple in it. It does have some blue in it too, so that's nice. I don't know, we haven't decided on this one yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They said there was originally 6 colors. This will definitely be in there, so I'm thinking we need something. This has got some yellow like spots and speckles in it, and this has a little bit of yellow in it too. We need something to tie in the warmer colors, because right now we have a lot of cool colors and then ba-bam, one yellow. So not this probably, or this. Set that to the side. This could work because it's got a mixture of the warm and the cool, and then perhaps this orange, because there's orange there. So I think maybe that's what we'll start with, and then if I need more yarn, we can add this one. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just need to decide what size I'm going to make, and that will give me a better idea of what I need for yarn. And I don't think this red will go. I don't think that matches quite well. Okay, so I am recording this voiceover to talk about the setup in this bullet journal now, right after I finish making it, rather than waiting until editing like I tend to, just so I remember what I was thinking about and all of that, because when I was filming the baby blanket video, I couldn't remember what I was thinking about at the time. I wanted to get it set up earlier again because when I was making the baby blanket, the last pattern I made a spread for, it wasn't until I was almost done with the body of the blanket. So I set it up now today, and I included lots of basic information like the name of the project, which is the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan, and then who created it, Katryn Seeburger, start and finish dates. Obviously I don't know it until it's finished. I added in what size I'm working on, the measurement of my upper chest, and I think it'll be interesting to go back in a little while after my top surgery and see what the actual measurement is. And then we have the sleeves. I decided on the largest size because I really don't like tight sleeves around my armpit, and I want to do the balloon style rather than the flared sleeves. And then I have a gauge chart. Let me tell you, the gauge so far, I've knit that one block that you saw me working on, has given me all sorts of problems. After my blocking it and drying it, it was 6.38 inches by 5.63. It was like eighths of inches, which is just brilliant for decimals with the imperial measurements. But yeah, so my gauge is out. I am relatively close. My row gauge is really off, but somehow it measures the right length. That doesn't make sense. And then my stitch gauge is correct, but the actual measurements are off. So I don't know if the measurements given in the pattern can't possibly line up with the stitch gauge we're given. I don't know. I did the math and that just, it doesn't seem quite right. So that's really weird, and I don't understand what's going on. I will keep swatching. I think I have one more way I'm going to try swatching it. I'll talk about that in a minute, but I will keep adding to that, I guess, as I need to. I'd like to not need to swatch that many more times. Swatching is not the most fun thing to do. I mean, for this project, it's just knitting a block, but I'd like to add to the number of blocks that I'm knitting, not knitting the same one over and over again. And then underneath that, we have progress tracker. I figured out how many squares in the back and the front and did that and put it in there so I can keep track. I like having me a little tracker. I will write down for each square, even if I don't end up putting them in that order. I just want to keep track of it. I'll either put it in the tracker or find a different spot to put it in. And then the second page is all dedicated to the yarn. I have a chart that has the colorway and base, the brand, the start amount, the end amount. So some of these are scrap yarns, so I wanted to keep track of that, as well as for the Rauma Strikkegarn, like you saw, I have several skeins of that. And then the weight of the yarn, like the, you know, is a DK fingering. I have a couple sport weight yarns in here too. I didn't realize they were sport weight, but it should be fine. The gauge is all over the place to begin with. And then the fiber content. I decided to keep track of the fiber content rather than the number of times used is what you initially see in here. So yeah, apart from all of my gauge struggles, I'm enjoying this project. I enjoyed the process of knitting the first square. I think I am going to go down a needle size. It's a US 7 in the pattern. I'm going to go down to a US 6 just because I think it's really loose. I don't know if you could see in any of the videos or pictures I showed you, but it's just really loose, and you could see a lot of the yarn behind it, a lot of the floats. So the squares are probably going to be smaller than the gauge size, so I may need to figure out how many squares I would need to add to get it back to the standard size. Hopefully it'll all come together, but I'm kind of hacking it as I go. That's where I'm at now. I'm glad I started this spread so I can keep track of all these notes from the beginning. Okay, so this is the square that I knit where I sized down my needles but went up a size. In terms of the pattern, each size has its own pattern. This has a few more inches and a few more rows. And I gotta say, I really, really like this fabric a lot better. The stitches are tighter, it looks nicer, it's less of a mess, but I blocked it. We're gonna see what the gauge measurements are. And the pattern says not to measure the seam allowance, which in this case is the garter stitch up the sides and the 2 plain rows on the top and the bottom. So we've got, let's see, 6 and 5/8, which I think might be the exact same as the first one. Block measurement 6 and 5/8. So it's a little bit bigger. 6. Come on. Of course my pen's not working. There goes the cap. So the block measurements are 6.63, which is technically a little bit wider. And then we have 5, I can't tell if that's 5.5 or 5, yeah, we'll go with 5.5. Which is slightly... okay, hold on. So now my inches in length is exactly correct. So it really didn't change much. It shrank a tiny bit. And my width grew. 5.42 stitches per inch. And rows would be 6.55 rows per inch. So it hasn't changed a whole lot. It got a little wider and then got a little shorter. So honestly, I'm fine with that. It's a little bit closer to what it's supposed to be. We're about, what, 3/8 of an inch shorter in width. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my size that I'm getting with this gauge here, because I really, like I said, I really like this. I think it looks good. Figure out if I would need to add another square onto maybe the sides on each side and then on the back or whatever. I'm also gonna start knitting the second one of these tonight, I think. I thought I'd do another check-in. I am at the beach right now. I apologize if the audio is weird. I don't have my normal recording stuff with me, but I do have my bullet journal here that I keep track of all of my crafting projects. I have finished 3 of my squares so far. You can see I colored them in as I went, and I do have a sticky note in here. I'm keeping track of potential color combos for yarns. I can show you what I've got. So firstly, I've got this binder. It's from Picks. It has the color work pattern. I'm gonna blur it because, you know, you have to pay for that, but you get the idea. It comes with these magnets that hold it in place, but also you can use them to kind of like keep track of what row you're on. And it also has the snaps so that it can sit upright if you so desire. This was something that I had seen before. I bought it a couple years ago when I was working on a pair of colorwork knits. And I was like, oh, I don't need that, I don't need that. And then I really did end up needing it. And it's come in handy more than I thought it would for this project. And then I have the one I finished last night. This is the Cascade 220 and Ginger held double for the outside. And then the square itself is a color that I didn't talk about earlier. It is... Oh, hold on. This is Ollie. He wants to be involved. I don't know if you can see him, but he's here. But, so the center yarn is the BFL DK from GamerCrafting Yarns, and it is Bae-fong is the color, which is, Ollie, don't move the tripod, please, sweetie. Kind of matches my shirt. But Bae-fong is a character from Legend of Korra, sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender, so yeah, that's this color. And I made a pair of mitts out of this yarn initially for a friend, and this is from leftovers. So I finished this last night. I'm really happy with how it looks. It seems to be the right size. I'll need to block it and make sure, but you know, I don't know if you can hear the cicadas, but they sound really nice. And then I have a couple different colors in here. Of course, I've got my knitting needles. I've started working with these since these are the size down that I talked about. There's a dent for some reason in these needles. Now he wants back in. You're gonna have to wait, pup. Just wait a few minutes. So we've got this yarn, which was a color I used once already. This is the Wraith T by Libris Fibers. This is the Daphne base. So that's what this is. I used this for my second square. Then we've got the Springbrook Classy DK by Primrose Yarn Co. here. And then we have the Bae-fong, of course. The Cascade 220 and Ginger. Not a whole lot of this left, but that's fine. And then we have, this is, I believe, the Price of Salt. No, this is the Lifted Veil on the Carson base from Libris Fibers. And this is, I think, my next square is going to be, oh, he's laying on my feet now. Going to be these two. Because the Lifted Veil has these orangey red tones in it that I think complement these two really well. And then I think these two would go well nice together, although I do want to pair this with the Price of Salt, because the Price of Salt has speckles of the sort of purpley red in it. But I think these two would also go well together because this has little bits of blue in it. I've got lots of options. It's nice. Okay, so I am working on my 6th square. I apologize for the sounds of the needles on the glass top, but this is where we are, not very far. This is Nebuchudnezzar on the outside from GamerCrafting, and then we have Jumbled Up Fun by the Sheepy Shire, and it is a sport weight on the inside. And I've used this one once, I haven't used this one, and I started this last night, or rather, there we go. I started the color work for this last night, and my house is not the best with lighting. It gets dark really fast. We don't really even have that much of an overhead big light, so I wasn't sure how the color work would look. So I wanted to stop about here. I'm about a quarter of the way through the pattern, and I wanted to see what it looked like out in the natural light, or in the bright light. I think it looks okay. I'm gonna do the trick real quick where you take a photo and make it black and white and see how that looks. And that was something I did beforehand with just these 2 balls of yarn, and it looked great, but now that it's being knit up, I'm not sure. Can I do this with 2 hands? Yeah, you can see that there's no real difference between the colors. Gosh, this is hard. I need a 3rd hand. So I think I'll rip this out. You can see here I wrote it. I like to write it in pencil so I can keep track and then erase it if, like in this instance, it ends up not working out. So I still have my pencil here with me. I'm gonna erase that. I don't know, do I want to keep the green? Okay, so here is how it looks now. Sorry for the clinking. I used the yarns we talked about, and this is how it looks. Much better. This is about where I was last time. I also like the way the yarns are interacting weight-wise. I think that the sport weight yarn might be too thin, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure I used a sport weight yarn already and it wasn't an issue. But there's just something about how thin and tightly spun that all tangled up or whatever it is. Jumbles of fun, I think that's what it's called, jumbled of fun, something like that. I think that might just be spun too tightly or something to give me the look I want. I will see, I may try it again, but yeah, so this looks good. Okay, so I decided that I wanted to try using the sport weight yarn that I wanted to use for the square that I ended up ripping out. Jumbled Up Fun by the Sheepyshire. That's this here. So I decided I wanted to try using it with this teal yarn. This is the Teal Heather Camper by Kelbourne Woolens. I think Camper is the weight or the fiber content, the base, that's what it's called. And this is a super fine, which would be equivalent to like a fingering weight yarn. So I was gonna hold it double with this, which is a sport weight yarn, like I said, but I tried that and it was too loose. It felt like the Jumbled Up Fun was too loose. So I looked at the sport weight yarn after I decided it was too loose, and I realized it's really, if I can get it to focus, not that much different in thickness. Honestly, it looks thinner here than the Superfine / fingering weight yarn. So I thought maybe holding it double and knitting it would be a good idea. But honestly, I hate this. I think part of it is the gauge that it's being knit at. It feels too thick for the needles that it's on, and it creates a really dense fabric, but not dense in like a squishy way, dense in like a stiff way. And the fact that it's a very variegated yarn rather than maybe a tonal or a solid makes it look not great when it's held together like this. It kind of muddies the colors. So I think that unfortunately this yarn may just not work for this project. But that's okay, it was worth a try. I have an idea for what yarn I'm going to knit this with, because I do want to use this color next. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this apart and start over again. You are sat on a bottle of setting spray in my bathroom, and we are going to be blocking some of these squares. I want to be able to lay them out and get like a good idea of what they're going to look like and like how big things are. And the problem is, as you can see, since they're stockinette, they roll. So that's really hard to do. And I want to be able to see what colors are kind of dominating, what you know, what needs to be, you know, maybe done instead, how to balance things out. That and my wrist has been hurting lately. If you've watched my vintage baby blankie video, you know I kind of messed up my wrist this spring, and I'm trying to take it easy and listen to my body. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. We'll see. It's very, very strong colors. So, since my wrist is hurting, I'm trying to do less knitting, and this is something I can do to work on the sweater, not blanket, without actually knitting. So, we'll come back to these in a little bit, and we'll see how they look. So it's been a little over an hour. I was working on stuff and just let them sit. This is where we're at. The water is sort of blue tinted, but also on this side it's more mixed in now, but oh well, you can really see where the brace was. I just didn't want it to get wet, but it was more yellowy. So I'm gonna dump it out. I'll try and set it up so you can see the water as it comes out, so you can see how much dye came out of it. But yeah, this is where we're at. Okay, so we are in the spare bedroom, and I've got a nice spot here on the radiator. We're just gonna lay everything out as flat as we can make it. Got this towel here. The radiator is not on. It's not quite warm enough for that, or cool enough for that today. High of 82 degrees Fahrenheit, so yeah, not quite fall yet. The equinox is this weekend, but I do have the window open, so hopefully that'll bring in a nice breeze. It may also entice the cats to lay on these, but that's okay. They just need to sit here and maybe flatten out a little bit. Also, if you can see my pajamas, no judgment. I think the biggest culprits for the color, if I had to guess, were probably the orangey gold color Strikkegarn, and then definitely the teal camper yarn. I also just got a phone call today asking if I wanted to move my surgery up to October 15th from the 29th. And I haven't called them back yet because I was working when they called, and they left me a message. I don't know if I'm going to. I know that that might sound kind of ridiculous, but it just, I don't know. I like the schedule I have set for myself and getting ready and getting my, you know, support network ready and stuff like that. And it's 2 weeks sooner, and I don't know, just kind of feels weird. We will see. We will see. This is how they're looking. I am incredibly pleased with them. I wish they'd lay a little flatter, but there's not really anything I can do about that, and honestly it doesn't really matter. But this is where we are. I am really very happy with what we've got, and of course there's one more that I already blocked that isn't here. Okay, so we have all of the squares knitted. I have the two sides sewn together, and I have them set up so these are the two edges that'll touch in the center, like the furthest two edges. These are the edges, like right here will be a sleeve, right here will be a sleeve, and this is the back area. So we need to design our back area. I have a couple of them sewn together, and they're not even all blocked, but we're just gonna live with it. because I am running out of time. My surgery is in 4 days. So the goal is to make it so that no color that's in one square is touching that color again. So for this square here, it's both this dark green and this yellow that I can't touch. So for example, no, I don't have a good example right now. That's okay. We won't worry about it. So I think might put this down here. I did end up adding a few new colors because I was running out of yarn combinations, as you can probably tell. Oh, here's a good example. This can't go here even though this is in the center. I may change it. We'll see. I think I don't know what I want to do. That's what I think. I think actually this would work. And then we could put this one up here. That brown and yellow looks nice together. And then this color could go here because these two are very similar, but they're not the same. The one that's got the more purple and brown to it is the Price of Salt. Doesn't look like I'm gonna have enough room. I can move things around. But yeah, I'm gonna do probably a time lapse because it's easy right now, but the more you get into it, the harder it gets. And I think this is gonna take a hot little bit and I wanna listen to my audiobook. So yeah, time lapse away. Okay, so it is the 10th of November. I have this to show you. I am working on the bottom ribbing. So the whole sweater is sewn together. Both the sleeves are finished. And I need to do 2 inches of ribbing. I've got just under an inch here so far. I'm using the Strikkegarn, Holstgarn, this yellow yarn. And it is really, really dreary today, so I apologize if it's a little dark, but I'm working on this. It's a 1x1 rib. You pick up stitches along each square. It's really hard to show you now that it's on the needles. And unfortunately, I did not finish this sweater before top surgery. I don't know if you can tell, I am post-top surgery. I'm really happy with it, and this has been a really nice project to work on while I am recovering. It was kind of difficult at first to work on because I don't know how much you know about it, but I basically have to keep my arms down like this for the first 6 weeks, if not longer, to help my incisions heal. So that is challenging in of itself, but I found that depending on the size of the project, especially now that this is much larger, it's pretty easy to work on because there's a nice like cushion here for me to use. But also in the very beginning, I had drains coming out of my body and they had these sort of collection receptacles. I don't know, that's what we'll call them, collection receptacles. They looked like grenades, and they were kind of sharp where the like lid of it was. So sitting like this, they were stuck to my like pin to the post-op binder I'm wearing, and it was very uncomfortable to sit and knit because my arms were constantly scratching against them, and it's really super dependent on the individual. I know another person who recently had top surgery and they aren't able to knit at all right now. I've been lucky that my pain's been minimal, but again, that's not the case for everyone. So I've been able to continue knitting, and while I did really want to finish this before top surgery so I could wear it through my whole recovery, it has been something really nice to work on while I'm laying around, especially with the sleeves. When I was working on this sleeve, the second sleeve, it was really nice to be able to just knit in a circle, you know, so to speak, because for a lot of it, it's just plain stockinette with no decreases, no anything. So yeah, that was a really nice post-surgery, you know, I'm taking a lot of medication, I'm very sleepy type of project to work on. And now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I've sewn everything together, and I'm working on this a lot more slowly than I was pre-surgery. Like I said, I was really trying to finish this before surgery, but that just didn't happen, and it wasn't worth, you know, trying to make myself miserable over. And I've actually edited everything up until this point. So I have this, and then I need to do the same sort of ribbing along the plackets and around the neck. I probably won't record that because this video is already pretty long, but I just wanted to check in. And then the next thing you see should be the finished object. Fingers crossed. I didn't think about how hard this would be to put on without help. Blocking will make it look even better. here we are. I have finished my Heirloom Quilt Cardigan by Katryn Seeburger. Seeburg, I'm not sure. I will include the correct name, spelling, and everything here. I love how it turned out. It is very warm. It is very cozy. All of the yarns I used are wool. I did not use up all of the Strikkegarn like I thought I would. I have a skein and a half left, which really surprised me. But yeah, it's really cozy. I wore it out today and my girlfriend took some pictures for me and I'm really happy with it. And I just really can't wait to get more wear out of it. It feels so cozy and I'm so happy with it. And I'm glad that I took the time to make sure that I had yarns that played well together, color-wise, fiber-wise, all of that. My movements are still really limited. I'm about 2.5 weeks in to my recovery. It's going to be at least another 2 weeks till I have my full range of motion back. So I do end up usually needing a little bit of help to put this on. And I really think that the yellow like ribbing and having it on the sleeves, that really helps sort of marry everything together nicely. When I was putting together the first side panel, I don't remember which one was the first. I guess it was probably this one over here. I remember thinking, I don't like this. Like, I didn't like the way it looked. But having all of the colors together now and the ribbing and the sleeves and all of that really brings it all together. And yeah, I'm just really happy with how it turned out. And yeah, you saw me filling out my bullet journal, my like knitting journal of all of the fibers and how much yarn I used and how much I had left. And I'll be adding all of that to my Ravelry. I used up so much yarn. It was really nice to use up that much yarn. It feels really nice. I know I keep saying that and I'm like rambling, but yeah, I really love how it turned out and I'm really happy with it. And even though I didn't finish it in time for my top surgery, it was nice to have something to knit on for like the first 2 weeks while I was recovering. Well, my mobility was limited and the amount of energy I can expend is limited, all that, you know, it was nice to be able to do that. And yeah, I'm super, super happy with it. You'll have to tell me if you would ever knit this sweater. Do you know anyone else who has? It's a big undertaking, so I can understand why maybe not that many people have completed it, but I would definitely recommend it if you really like that quilt like aesthetic, the patchwork look. You could definitely make it more cohesive than I did. I very much enjoy the coat of many colors look, and yes, I was kind of singing the Dolly Parton's, I think it's Dolly Parton. Let me Google it. I'm going to be really upset if I got that wrong. Not upset, but like embarrassed maybe. Yep, Dolly Parton. I was going to say, I know it's a biblical reference, but it's a Dolly Parton song that I'm interested in. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more knitting, sewing, crafting videos. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike the video if you disliked it. But if you disliked it, why are you still here? This is like an hour-long video. Go hug a loved one. Go touch grass. Go do something else with your time. And be sure to ring the bell so you know when more videos come out. They're not super regular on this channel. This is something I do for fun, so I don't always have a lot of time to make them. But yeah, that's everything, I think. Once again, thank you so much for watching and sticking with me through this long video, and I hope you are having a wonderful day. Bye! Okay, just kidding. So I decided that I was going to undo the bind off on the placket ribbing and then re-bind off using a stretcher bind off using that Strikkegarn. And that is because it was looking weird. I don't know if you noticed, but during the closeout ending quote unquote section, the corners are sitting up on like my chest almost to my collarbone instead of down towards my hips, and that's not right. So yeah, I rejoined the yarn using the spit splice method, and yeah, just sort of felted those fibers together since it was 100% wool, and bound off, and I think it was either every other or every third stitch I did a yarn over just to make it a little stretchier, and I tried to keep the actual stitches looser as well, and it really made a big difference. I'll include some pictures somewhere so you can see the difference between when I first bound off versus when I rebound off. And I'm thankful to the friend who pointed out to me that it was looking kind of odd. So I did rebind off and actually block it, which, confession, I hadn't blocked it. So that definitely helps. Don't skip the blocking. And make sure you bind off in a way that works for your project. And yeah, I think that's it this time. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye for real now. Bye!